Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of News for Normies. If you learned something new from this video or you've got some normies in your life, hit that like button, share it, subscribe, all the fun stuff with the social medias you crazy kids do nowadays. So, let's get into it. Joe Biden signed a pardon for his son Hunter last Sunday, December 1st, 2024. And the pardon included anything that he was or was not officially charged with, ranging from January 1st of 2014 to December of 2024. So, that's awfully strange wording and raises a lot of eyebrows. First off, what all went on during that time that Hunter should be pardoned for? Maybe something dealing with Ukrainian or Chinese energy companies? Perhaps. I don't know, just kind of spitballing here. And second, this could actually hurt Hunter now because should he be called to testify before Congress about anything in that time span, and he lies or just decides not to speak, he could go to jail. Because of this pardon, he can't plead the fifth, and so yeah, he has to talk. So yeah, with some of the other news stories coming up here soon, that could really backfire on him. And man, oh man, it's gonna get interesting come January of 2025. Also, Joe Biden claims that his son Hunter was, quote, selectively and unfairly prosecuted, end quote, over his charges. So I think it's very, very funny and ironic that it's coming from the same administration who was trying to put their political opponents in jail, i.e., Donald Trump and his fraud case in New York, or the actual peaceful protesters at January 6th. You know, the people who were waved in by police and stayed within the stanchions and didn't actually break things or destroy property. Not saying that there weren't people there that did that, because there were. I'm beating a dead horse into glue, so we're moving on. On the same vein as pardons, Joe Biden is considering a blanket pardon for several people involved with federal politics, such as Anthony Fauci, Liz Cheney, and others. So here's a question. What did these people do to warrant a preemptive pardon, Joe? Inquiring minds would like to know. The House Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic released its full report this past week, and it turns out all those crazy right-wing conspiracy theorists were right again. And according to this report, the NIH and the NIAID actually were funding gain-of-function research in Wuhan. So this alone should put Anthony Fauci in prison. In fact, he should be buried under the prison. Not only did he fuck up the whole AIDS thing back in the 80s, he seriously fucked this one up too. So he should be in prison for the death of unknown amounts of people. Also, let's not forget he was using beagles as like test subjects and was like cutting their vocal cords so they wouldn't scream and cry in pain. You know, so there's that little bit too. God, Anthony Fauci's such a piece of shit. Anyway, moving on. The manslaughter case against Daniel Penny in New York seems to be in a deadlock as of this weekend. Obviously, courts are in session Monday through Friday. It's Saturday as I record this, so we will have to wait till Monday for any kind of updates. However, I personally think that this is absolutely insane and shouldn't even be a case brought up in court. You know, common sense would dictate that a man who is threatening people with a weapon and gets, subdued and sadly loses his life by a bystander, most people would look at that and say, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. So yeah, Daniel Penny should be a free man. And this is insane. But, we're talking about Democrats here, so, any kind of logic or common sense goes out the fucking window. If you don't know about this case, yeah, it's what I just said. Daniel Penny, he's a Marine, was on the New York subway, and another dude was on the subway who was clearly high on drugs and was threatening people with a weapon, with a knife. Daniel Penny stepped in, put the dude in a chokehold, and sadly the guy died. While I feel sympathy for somebody losing their life, if you're threatening people with a weapon and somebody takes you down, you brought it on yourself. I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's common sense. Anyway, not going to get on a rant on that one. Moving on. Trump formally nominated Kash Patel to be FBI director once he is inaugurated in January of 2025, and I am here for it. I hope that Kash Patel guts the FBI down to a skeleton crew and then just completely abolishes it from there, but I don't think that'll happen, so we'll take what we can get. Here's a prediction. Maybe school shootings will stop once the FBI quits convincing people on the internet to do them. Because every time there's a school shooting or something, the FBI always comes out and says, oh, well, the shooter was on our radar for some time. Yeah. Or, they try to orchestrate the kidnapping of governors and blame, right-wing radicals for doing it when 12 of the 14 people were FBI agents or informants. Looking at you, Governor Whitmer. So, yeah, that's some good news. Also some good news. Donald Trump originally nominated Chad Chronister for head of the DEA, but after a lot of backlash, Chad removed his name from the nomination because he also is a human piece of shit. This man, if you don't know who he was a sheriff in Florida during the COVID pandemic and got on TV and, bragged and gloated about arresting a pastor for holding church service, even after the pastor and the church spent over $100,000 on ventilation upgrades and stuff to the building to help mitigate COVID. So let me say that again. A sheriff bragged about arresting a pastor, and Trump nominated him to originally be the head of DEA. So never forget this man's name, Chad Chronister. Can't make it any more clear, because he arrested a pastor for holding church and gloated about it. Do what you will with that information, okay? Please don't do any harm to anybody, because I am not calling for violence toward anyone. Just remember that name, and if he tries to run for any kind of public office again, publicly shame him for it. The United Healthcare CEO, Brian Thompson, was fatally shot in New York City this past week, and apparently there were shell casings found on the scene with the words depose, deny, defend, which I guess alludes to a book that talks about the shady practices of health insurance companies and how they rip people off. So while I have sympathy for the Thompson family over the sudden death of a loved one and this time of grief that they have, I really don't have a lot of sympathy for the CEO of a company making $10 million a year by legally stealing people's money. I mean, let's be honest. That's what insurance and taxes are the two biggest scams that have been levied on the American people for far too long. And think about this. Look at your paycheck and look at how much money you're spending on taxes and insurance every time your paycheck hits your bank account. It is absolutely insane. And if we didn't have taxes and insurance, you could put that money in your own savings account. And if you need to go see a doctor, hey, doc, I got the sniffles. Here's a shot, boom, you pay the doctor cash. You need some medicine, cool, you go to the pharmacy, pay the pharmacist for giving you the medicine. You need a surgery, guess what? You got a good chunk of change sitting in a savings account, you pay the doctor and the surgeon to do the surgery, and everything's well and good. But, if we didn't have insurance companies or taxes, then we wouldn't have, useless people that are employed for doing nothing at all and getting paid to do it. must be nice. So again, I'm not gloating about the death of anybody, but it's hard for me to feel sympathy for somebody getting rich off of stealing people's money. Just saying. I'm also a little fired up about insurance companies because I've been fighting with my own home insurance company over some stuff this past year, and yeah, got me a little. This one kind of hit a nerve just right with me. But yeah, again, don't go, threatening people or physically assaulting people or trying to physically harm people. I am not calling for violence. I'm not a left-wing lunatic, but again, it is what it is. Okay, I think I made it clear enough. I don't want anybody to do any harm. On that note, though, leftists on the internet have been celebrating the death of Brian Thompson, and have even made veiled threats to other insurance CEOs. Because of this, Anthem Blue Cross reversed its policies on the use of anesthesia during surgeries. I guess they were going to dial back how much they were going to cover during surgeries, and if a surgery went long, they weren't going to cover so much of it or something like that. They were basically doing it to conform with more of a government model or whatever. But they reversed course, and they claimed they were going to do that to curb insurance fraud, because I guess anesthesiologists are using too much anesthesia and getting paid for it or something. I don't know. I'm not an expert on medical care system at all, but I don't know. If people are stealing, then you fire them. If you're an employee at Walmart and you're caught stealing stuff, you get fired. If you're an employee at Amazon and you get caught stealing merchandise, you get fired. If I get caught stealing metal from my work, I'm gonna get fired. I don't see how this has to be overly complicated. If somebody is stealing, you fire them. Case closed. Can we bring back common sense? Because it's not real common. I'm going to start calling it uncommon sense. Jesus Christ. I apologize for drinking on camera. I have been fighting a cold for the past week and it was a little thirsty. So, moving across the pond a little bit here, South Korean president declared martial law on Tuesday and claimed it was to stop North Korean opposition within the country. I don't fully know all the details about this, but when a country declares martial law, it's kind of a big deal, so I want to talk about it a little bit. I know that the Korean War kind of technically never came to an end, as, wars are technically and legally declared at an end, but that never happened with Korea. But and I know also that North and South Korea have had tensions for a long time, but this is just very odd. Alrighty, sorry about that. I had a little bit of a technical difficulty there. Got two more quick little things to talk about, and then I'm going to be out of here. So, Target may be in legal trouble for not disclosing financial risk in 2023 for pushing Pride Month stuff in their stores. If you don't remember, this came right after the Bud Light fiasco, so yeah, obviously it was a major risk to any investors in the business. That's not just, big investor firms on Wall Street and, New York City and all that stuff. That could be you if you own a single share of stock within the company. Finally, David Hogg claims that he wants to run for a seat within the DNC at large and says that he wants to help fix the condescension problem within the party. I find this extremely laughable because the Democrat Party is the party of condescension, and maybe y'all can start by simply listening to people you disagree with and not act like your world is coming to an end when they say something you don't like. Just a thought. I know I've made my opinions very clear on that one in the past. So, thank you guys for watching. Hit that like, share, subscribe. All the social medias will be down below. Tell your mom, tell your friends, tell people you go to work with.